Hello friends and welcome back. So today I'm going to show you 3 modifiers that you can use with the splines or the shapes. So without any further ado, let's get started. So now we are inside 3D Studio Max, and to use the modifiers we need to create some shape. So let's get into the top viewport and create a star. You can choose any other shape. And let's create one open shape using the line tool. Something like this. For better visibility, I'm hiding the grid. Now we can select these two objects or splines, and we have to apply the modifier, that is Fillet Chamfer modifier. So in the Modify tab, just search for the Fillet Chamfer. And here we have this Fillet Chamfer. Click on the Fillet Chamfer, and we have applied the Fillet Chamfer to these two shapes or splines. Now inside the Fillet Chamfer modifier, we get two groups, the fillet group and the chamfer group. So we can use any of these groups according to our need. Now say for example in this we want a fillet effect in these three vertex or knots. Make a selection first and then increase the radius, and these knots are now having a curvature. Now on the other side, if I want a flat or chamfered effect, so simply select the vertex and we have to increase the distance amount, and you will find that is having a chamfer effect. Now on the top vertex, if I want to add a fillet of the same amount, simply click on apply, and on the last vertex, suppose we want to apply the same amount of chamfer, simply click apply. Now for the open shape, select the shape first, go to the Modify tab, and you can see inside the stack of the Fillet Chamfer modifier you have something called vertex. Click on the vertex, select the vertex which you want to change, and now you have a choice of either adding a fillet or a chamfer. So you can add fillet, and suppose down we want to add a chamfer, so we can add a chamfer, something like this. So that was the first modifier. Now the second modifier which I'm going to show you today is the Renderable Spline. So for that you have to simply select any spline, go to the Modify tab, and you have the modifier, that is Renderable Spline. Just search for the Renderable Spline, and this is the Renderable Spline modifier, and you can add thickness as per your choice. Now we will see the third modifier, so I'll remove these modifiers, and let's remove the modifier from the star as well. Now over this we are going to apply a different modifier. So select both the shapes or splines, then in the Modify tab we have to search for SPLINE Chamfer. So SPLINE Chamfer modifier is not available in the older versions of 3dsmax. So if you are using an older version, you will not get this modifier. So we have applied the SPLINE Chamfer modifier to these two shapes. Now inside the parameters we have got an option, that is show knots. Just click on this option so that we can see the vertex, and now the vertex of these two spline or shapes are visible. Now you have an option here, that is amount, depth and bias. So let's select both the shapes, and inside this let's increase the amount. So when you increase the amount value, it is going to add a fillet effect. As you can see, it's happening here in the star as well as the open shape. Now in case you want to add a chamfered effect or a flat kind of effect, for that you have to reduce the depth value to 0. Select the depth value, type in 0, enter, and you can see now it has become flat. Now suppose we specify a negative value here in the depth. In that case it creates an inward curve. So first of all, let's add a positive value and see how it is adding a outward curve here and here also. Now if I give a negative value, it is going to add an invert curve, as you can see in this example. Let's again change the value of depth, positive and negative. Now you have an option here, that is bias. As we know that whenever we add this amount, it is going to affect both the segments which are connected to a knot equally. But when we increase the bias, it is going to have more influence on a particular segment than the other. So let's increase the bias, and now you can see this segment is having more influence, whereas over here there is not much change. I'll bring back the bias, and now you can see this one is more affected, whereas this one is less affected. So that way we can use the bias. Generally we keep it to 0 so that we have a balanced effect. Now over this also we can apply the Renderable Spline modifier so that it gets converted into a 3D. And let's select this star and we can reduce the width a little bit. And even after applying all these modifiers, we can still go back to the original shape and make some changes, like we can increase the number of points here, and when we get back, the things are updated automatically. So these were the 3 modifiers which you can use with the spline or shapes in 3dsmax. Hope you'll find this thing useful. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.